Hello, thank you for clicking on the video. My name's Steve and this is Everyman Fragrances. Now today I want to talk to you about 3 fragrances that I think could easily be signature scents. So let's get on with this. I'm trying to keep my videos shorter nowadays and it is hot as hell and I've got Betty Swaddocks, so let's crack on. The first fragrance I want to talk about is one that I featured in my very last video. So apologies if you did watch that video and this is a repetition. I'm not going to spend too long on this, I do promise. I will link that video down below in the little description, so go and check that out if you didn't watch it, because I've fallen in love with this fragrance. I'm talking about Ferragamo's Acqua Essenziale Blue. This is by the legend himself, Alberto Marias, and it is a gorgeous, gorgeous blue fragrance. It's got all the elements that you need to get compliments and just to kind of appeal to the masses. It's got a gorgeous fresh opening. It's got a lovely kind of clean mid, and in the base it kind of gets a little bit sweetened with some benzoin and some tonka as well. So this is easily a signature scent. I commented in my last video that you could wear this all day during the day at work because it's kind of clean and very pleasant, and certainly sort of sophisticated, but then it's that sweetness in the base just means it's kind of pleasant enough and sexy enough that you could easily wear it for drinks after work, or just if you're going on a date after work as well. So I love this fragrance, and just when I was thinking about signature scents, I just think this is an absolute banger, and it's cheap as chips. I got this 50ml bottle for less than £30 in the UK. So if you haven't, just go and check out this fragrance. You won't regret it, I promise. I've tried to include a nice mix in this video, so we're going from a nice cheapie at below £30 to a niche fragrance that costs about £185 for 100ml. So look, I get it, it's not for everybody. I would struggle to justify that. There's only a few fragrances that I would sort of pay that sort of money for, so I get it if that's not your bag, but there are some ballers out there that would easily drop that on a fragrance without battering an eyelid. So, you know, I'm trying to just include fragrances for everyone, and this is a gorgeous fragrance that I've actually got compliments on. I'm talking about Massa from Kajal. This is their new release for 2023. As you can see, the green colouring on this bottle is absolutely gorgeous. It reminds me of something that you'd see from the Emerald City from Wizard of Oz. It's just absolutely just gorgeous. I mean, I love green, it's one of my favourite colours, so I'm slightly biased, but I just really think it kind of sets it off with the kind of the green colouring. And it sort of complements the fragrance as well. It is kind of a sort of green fresh fragrance, which I will get onto in a minute. But yeah, I just wanted to show that with the packaging as well, and that lid, the sort of signature heavyweight lid that you get on all the Kajal bottles. This is a quality presentation, and as you would expect for that price point. So, you know, that's what you kind of get when you're when you're shopping like niche fragrances. You would expect the kind of whole experience from the packaging to the unboxing and everything. So, and again, this just doesn't disappoint in that section because the bottle is gorgeous, the fragrance is as well, which I'll get onto in a minute, but the lid, very heavyweight, not cheap and cheerful at all, though I guess some people might sort of say that those kind of emerald effect kind of jewels on the top might be a little bit chintzy, I don't know. But then as well, within the box you do get that lovely kind of sample set as well, so I've got 3 samples in there. I don't know for sure, but I assume it's the same samples that you get with every bottle of Massa, and if that is the case, I got Dahab as my first fragrance. I also got Almaz as well. I'm not going to start talking about these fragrances because we'll kind of be here all week. And I also got Lamar, which I have actually done a video on before. That is a lovely kind of rose, feminine kind of, well, I think it's more feminine fragrance as well. But I'm not going to go into these fragrances. But yeah, I think that's another little nice touch that these samples, they're not kind of small either. So again, it does just help justify the cost if you are sort of, if it's at the top end of your budget, if you're used to buying designer and you want to kind of sort of dabble into niche. I would say that Kajal are certainly more accessible niche fragrances. They're not particularly challenging. They're complex and they're interesting, but they're not challenging, I found. And particularly like Kajal Homme, Kajal Homme 2, they're just, again, very kind of, I wouldn't say well, I guess they are appealing to the masses, but in a kind of complex, interesting way without being just sort of boring or sort of just a, you know, a standard blue fragrance. So yeah, these samples that you do get, I do think help justify the cost and kind of make you feel a bit better if you're going to drop 185 notes on a 100ml fragrance. This fragrance smells absolutely delightful. It's got a lot of the similar elements that I was talking about with the first fragrance. It doesn't smell anything like it, but it's got a fresh opening from a kind of, it's got a fruity fresh opening. There's bergamot, there's grapefruit, etc. And then in the mids, it's quite sort of clean, but it gets a bit more interesting because there's kind of some spice. So it's got patchouli, aquatic accord, some petitgrain, there's some cardamom as well. So it's kind of got a clean, kind of spicy, zingy thing in the middle. And then in the base, it kind of gets a little bit sweeter with some vanilla, and it's also kind of got some wood in the base, as you typically kind of see in a lot of fragrances. But that sweetness never gets sickeningly sweet, never gets cloying. I was slightly concerned that this might not be a fragrance that you could wear in high heat, but I have done. It does work in high heat. You just got to make sure you don't go heavy on the trigger, because this fragrance performs really, really well. The most I've ever worn in this fragrance is 2 sprays. I swear to God, it works really well. You could easily get away with 1 spray on this, which I think again does help justify the sort of cost. If it's kind of performing really well and lasting really well, it's obviously going to last a lot longer if you only needed 1 or 2 sprays. The notes don't tell necessarily the full picture with this. I think Dan Rothschild, the fragrance weirdo on Instagram, described it quite well. He said it's got kind of like a zingy opening that's with like an absinthe type accord. And then it's sort of with a vanilla base. And I kind of get what he's saying. I don't necessarily get absinthe, but I do certainly get like a fresh zingy kind of opening. And it's got like this sort of, sharpness isn't the right word, but it's definitely got this sort of, yeah, like a zing sort of sharpness that you almost menthol mint-like maybe. And that sort of fresh, sharp freshness. That you might sort of get from something like absinthe, that kind of really fresh, sort of noticeable kind of, it's very recognisable, isn't it? But I don't think it smells quite like absinthe, but I do know what he's talking about. And then the vanilla in the base just gets a little bit sweeter at the end, but as I say, it never gets too sweet. So yeah, I didn't think you could wear this in a high heat, but you can. So I'm confident that this could easily be a signature scent, which again would sort of help justify the price potentially. I do think this is a lovely fragrance. My wife likes this one. I got a compliment from a colleague at work, and I'm really enjoying it. It's very easy to wear, and it's very, very versatile. So yeah, big thumbs up on this one to Kajal. Keeping with the nice mix of fragrances that I was talking about earlier, the final fragrance that I want to talk about is actually from a clone house. It's not an original creation either, it is a clone or inspiration. The fragrance I want to talk to you about is Ferocity by Alexandria Fragrances. You probably won't be able to see that. I mean, this is just a little travel sample, so you don't really need to see it anyway, to be fair. But anyway, this fragrance is a clone or inspiration of the original sort of vintage formula by all accounts of Fierce by Abercrombie and Fitch. So that fragrance was originally released in 2002, so it's over 20 years old, that fragrance DNA now. Now, and before I kind of carry on with this sort of review or kind of letting you know what this smells like, I should emphasize that that fragrance DNA has some comparisons out and about as well. So a lot of people compare it to Legend by Mont Blanc or Legend Intense. So again, if you own that fragrance or those 2 fragrances, you might not necessarily need to sort of think about this. And it also gets compared to Percival as well by Parfum de Marly. I'm not going to kind of break down and compare all of those fragrances in this little section of this video. What I will say is I've owned Legend I've owned Legend Intense twice, and I've kind of sold it both times. I do sort of like it, but the metallic note in that is really strong to me. I don't know if I'm sensitive to it, and I can't really kind of get over it. So I get this really strong metallic accord, which sort of ruins the fragrance to me. But I think the Legend and Legend Intense is probably a bit more of a slightly mature, more manlier DNA than Fierce or Ferocity in this case. I think they certainly smell similar, but Ferocity smells, certainly from what my memories of it, it smells a lot like the original Fierce, which is a bit more of a sort of more playful version. So I think this is a signature scent for somebody probably in their 20s, because it's a little bit more kind of a bit fruitier and a bit more playful, kind of less metallic, and they've sort of gone down that more playful route, which works again if you're in your 20s and you're out and about. Now the thing with this fragrance, what I will say is, to me, whenever I smell it, my gut sort of reflex, my first reflex is to say that it smells dated, but it doesn't. It smells dated because I've got scent memories associated with that DNA that take me back and make me kind of remember people, places, etc. in the past that I was, and so it kind of makes me kind of think that the fragrance is dated, but it's not. The DNA, if you smell the fragrance objectively and just smell it as a perfume and just break it down, it doesn't smell dated at all. It still smells good, it smells current, relevant, and it still works in today's world of perfumery. I think it smells good. As I say, a guy probably in their 20s could easily rock this as their signature scent, and probably 30s. It's, as I say, compared to Legend Intense, this is probably more of a playful version, and this is really good. The metallic note isn't as present. I do kind of get it a little bit with this, but it's certainly not as much as Legend and Legend Intense. But this sort of just dries down to a kind of a nice manly, fresh, kind of sort of clean yet playful kind of scent that you could easily be a signature scent. You could wear this in the office, no worries, and you'll probably get loads of compliments. And then again, you could just wear this after work as well. You could wear it on a date or going for drinks or whatever after, and at the weekend. So again, this is easily a signature scent. So yeah, definitely worth considering if you want to kind of jump back to the early noughties and sort of relive your youth and kind of smell this. This could be a really good fragrance for you. Or if you've got no experience with that DNA, by all means do check it out with one of those fragrances that I mentioned, or this one in particular, because I think it's a great DNA that could easily be a signature scent. So that's it. Thank you for watching. I hope you got something out of this video. As I say, I tried to do a nice mix of fragrances there and kept it to a nice short 3. So do comment below, what is your signature scent? Or, you know, have you tried a signature scent? Have you wanted one to be your signature scent and it didn't work, or somebody recommended it, or if you smelt something on someone else and it didn't work for you, or has your signature scent changed or evolved over the years? Kind of let me know kind of your signature scent story down in the comment section below. I'll be really curious to hear. Thanks again for watching. Like, comment, subscribe and all that shit. You know the score, and I will see you for a video soon. Take care. Much love.